Vice Mayor Max already stole my thunder on the, we had the victory in the Gulfstream case.
Yay!
And as we talked about, we'll go ahead with fees. And now, last meeting I told you we had that victory in the Vieira case, which was the former employee. We're also going to be seeking attorney's fees there. That's a little healthier number. That's close to a $50,000 number. And third, heroin task force. So I was at a meeting just earlier today. They're moving forward. Their next meeting is August 24th out at the fire rescue. I think Commissioner Ambrose, I think, is on that task force.
I'm on that task force, but if someone could attend on the 24th, we actually have a Palm Beach County League of Cities, and I sit on that board. So if somebody else can attend that particular meeting, I'm
It's
unfortunate.
at 10 a.m. on the 24th at the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Headquarters on Pike Road, at the Turnpike on Southern Boulevard. You got the Turnpike is right in front of you. Anyway, this was a slide, PowerPoint, called slideshows, it's old, but PowerPoint that they did today at the Southeast Florida.
Did you find it on microfiche?
I know, it was on microfiche. I'll leave it with the clerk, if anybody, I'll pass it down, anybody wants to take a look at it, the clerk wants to give copies out.
Please.
But they are definitely, doing everything they can to try and address this epidemic, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager, do you have anything?
Yes, just a couple things, Madam Mayor, Commission. Today really is National Road Day.
Round next.
Arrgh.
And actually, you know where I'll be later. Just want to remind everybody, next Tuesday is the Commission Budget Workshop at 6. And then we have the Commission Workshop on the 25th regarding the road program and individual meetings with y'all about that meeting. So I'm looking forward to getting that to the next step. So just to remind everybody that's coming up. You might have seen some of the news articles and things about the package sales of alcohol. Just to clarify to everybody that that is not closing any bars at 10 o'clock, but after 10 o'clock p.m. you cannot buy packaged alcohol and take it off the premise. I've been working with the Sheriff's Office and some of the neighborhood associations we've done at some of the convenience stores, Raccoons, De Facto bars. This was approved by y'all several months ago, I want to say in January. We did have a long lead-in because between the Sheriff's Office, who is in charge of enforcing this, and our attorneys, there was a lot of back and forth about how the postering was supposed to be written and some other things. So we finally got it out, and there is a 30-day sort of educational period at the Sheriff's Office working with the businesses to let them know.
I just want to, I stated this back when we had this meeting, and I really implored you guys to adopt an 11 p.m. as opposed to a 10 p.m. just because a lot of the stores close at 11. I know that our Publix closes at 10, but other Publix close at 11, and I'm getting inundated with calls from store owners and people, and I mean, it was kind of crazy that first it was over the confusion, but just that one, because they're closing at 11 anyway, these are not stores, almost all of them except for one, were not stores that stayed open to midnight or any later than that. They were stores that closed at 11 p.m. And I just want to, I don't know, and we've adopted this, I argued about it the last time, I just think or make it a Friday and Saturday 11 p.m. and leave it 10 o'clock the weekdays or whatever, but the loss of business for some of these people, or their argument of a loss of business, I should say, seems fairly substantial. And it's still early enough that it's not, I don't know, I argued about this last time.
I think I quoted one of the stories, if you know you close at 10, you have time to go eat your 6 or 12 pack and get home before then, that you don't have to be involved. But your point, I think there was a couple of liquor stores maybe that were in that category.
Several. Vice Mayor, something?
Yeah, please. The reason I was tardy for this evening's meeting is because I was meeting with a number of convenience store owners. In fact, I believe there are 8. And I'm sorry?
A lot of people call.
Yeah. And you know, let's take a couple minutes to talk about this real quick. When we went through the process of adopting the ordinance, there was nobody came. Nobody came to discuss it, nobody from the community. And I said, look, this is a classic example of competing interests. You as convenience store operators are in the business to make money. That's your reason for being. My reason for being, our reason for being, is to create an environment in the community that people are safe. And that, you know, we try to protect people to whatever extent we possibly can. The problem we're having here is a lot of bad things are happening the later the night goes on. You know, public urination, domestic violence, folks getting rolled, people getting crazy and just doing silly things, not the DUI, but just a lot of stuff that's going on. And and I explained to them, I said, look, we have 17 neighborhood associations here in the city. And I go to as many of the neighborhood meetings as I possibly can. And one of the common questions that's asked of the PVSO deputy in each one of these meetings is, where are the patrols from PVSO? We don't see any patrols. And each of these deputies, to the best of their ability, and they're all very tactful in what they say, essentially what they're saying is, we're going from call to call to call to call to call. Just like the firehouse. All you do, we can sit here, and in fact, I haven't heard it tonight, but usually we'll sit here in our meeting and the fire station will ring itself up 3 or 4 times in the course of any given city commission meeting. The levels of service for call in the city are just astronomical. And yes, sober homes are a big part of this. Drugs is a big part of this. But we also know that alcoholism and drunks is a big part of this as well. Bottom line is this: the commitment that I got from those 8 individuals was, and I see our sheriff's deputies left, they would like to try to be part of the solution. Obviously, they'd like to get those hours back. They're offering their expertise, if you will, to sit down with the sheriff's office and see if there's some common thing that they're not doing now that could possibly be done in the future to maybe help us with some of these issues. So that's the next step. I don't know that we're going to yield any benefit from that, but the fact that they're willing to do that, and I think it's worth having that conversation. But I said, look, we're in a community that has 30% poverty, and by their own admission, they recognize, or they admitted that their business model caters to the lower income population. I said, but we have a disproportionate amount of poverty, and we cannot continue to have our sheriff's office going from call to call to call because this guy's peeing in the parking lot, and this guy fell over drunk, and that guy got rolled, and this guy's beating on his girlfriend, when we've got other issues that we're trying to deal with in the city. And so that's kind of where we were with this ordinance, or with the conversation.
One of the things that I mentioned that didn't take any root in that conversation, for people to understand, was one of the, in talking with the police, the single unit sales of alcohol is an issue for them. And that was one of the things, in people that buy one
Right.
beer, one large bottle of beer, or one whatever. And that is what, that's a lot of their late night crowd is single unit sales. And there are some cities that actually banned single unit sales at convenience stores. That was one thing, or a deadline, or past a certain time. I just think.
We looked at that, Mayor, and we were told we couldn't regulate that aspect of alcohol sales, but Glenn will look at it again. Because that was something we had talked about, and we did ask that question, I remember.
And that was especially affecting the downtown, Commissioner Martinez.
Yeah, and I just wanted to remind everyone that we talked about this, and, the reason we're hearing it again, not everybody's a bad player, but I got a call from most of these people too, and I can tell you that there's a lot of bad players in where the store is located.
Yeah.
And we're here because they did not police themselves. And if you look at the Sheriff's Department call log, the calls are not coming from the location and the people that are running these establishments. They're coming from you and I pulling up on the situation. They're coming from the mayor looking down at a certain store, watching it happen. So, the call, I applaud the vice mayor and I support you, taking the lead on this and seeing if we can come up with a solution. But they did not police themselves because we have something called chronic nuisance. And if they call and there's a certain amount of calls at their location, they can be shut down. So therefore, they're not calling, and half the other people are just pulling up. I have a couple stores that are on my way, and I don't go there anymore because of the issues. I've called and I just don't stop there anymore because I don't feel safe. And that's happening with everyone, that's why we actually got to this point.
Lydia?
Just final comment, and I asked these gentlemen because to your point about the chronic nuisance, I asked them, I said, look, do y'all have video, inside and outside, and they all claim they've got video. I said, well, that's a help, and I said, are y'all talking to each other when you have bad actors, are you communicating? Oh, we do that. So let's just see what that does, but the one thing I also mentioned to them, I didn't mention tonight, also this is gonna, I think, help us a little bit potentially with the prostitution. Because they're not gonna have as many crazy people running around, half in the bag, looking for extracurricular activities. So, this may help us, in that regard too, so. I'm sticking to the ordinance, I think it's needed, it's unfortunate that it has a negative impact on their business, but like I said, there's this competing interest here. Their business interest versus the safety of the community.
And we are looking more and more at public consumption, starting, the discussion at the beach. We have some problems downtown. I know there's activity sometimes, J Street, I can think of different places that people are openly creating problems, crime, litter, and all the associated things that I think the people that live in the city and the people that want to come to these areas
And drug
are
dealing
it's a
inside
disincentives for people.
businesses,
Yeah, so, these changes, I would encourage the commission, these are good changes, they may be a little difficult. And the last thing, just to comment on the Wawa question, Wawa did contact staff told them repeatedly that there's way too many variances that would be required to shoehorn that property, with that use on that property. So, while I know there's concerns, people can ask for anything on their property, that's property rights. But from the city's perspective, shoehorning in that Wawa was very problematic, and we didn't realize that they were either, I haven't heard any more, that was a while ago. So it's not something that I think is coming forward that I've seen any or heard of any applications. There was discussions, staff told them way too many variances to make it work. So that doesn't mean that doesn't prohibit somebody from coming forward with an application. But we just wanted to say that was my understanding, recollection. I didn't want anybody walking out of here and being overly concerned right now.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. Have a wonderful evening. I'll entertain a motion to